fans, the wait is over. Phoenix Rising kicks off the season Saturday, March 8th at 7 p.m., and we need you in the stadium. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours now at phxrisingfc.com. Plus, the first 1,000 fans through the gates will receive a commemorative 2025 season rally towel. Wear red, bring the energy, and help pack the fortress as we kick off a new season.
Ready to take the next step in your education? It's time to check out Central Arizona College, Pinal County's community college. CAC offers workforce development programs to get you job ready quickly and university transfer programs to help you save on your bachelor's degree at one of Arizona's top universities. Summer enrollment is open now and registration for the fall term opens April 7th. Don't wait. Complete your free application today and schedule a meeting with your enrollment advisor to set your path to success. Visit centralaz.edu now. We are CAC.
Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, we're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text DESERT to 27800 and get our premium wash for free. Stay clean, superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
Something happy is happening soon. Can you feel it? That tapping in your toes? That little shimmy in your shoulders? Well, that's because happy is in the air. It's the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration, and you're all invited. And let me tell you, this celebration, with its show-stopping parades, dazzling decor, nighttime fireworks shows, and so much more, all happening across the Disneyland Resort, well, it will have everyone moving. They'll be moving to the beat of happy. Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse will be grooving. Donald Duck will be shaking his tail feathers, and Goofy, well, he's gonna be goofy. So come on, tap those toes, shimmy those shoulders, and get excited for the Disneyland Resort 70th celebration, coming soon to the happiest place on earth. Dance on over to disneyland.com/70 to learn more.
When we say jumbo, we mean jumbo shrimp. Del Taco's Jumbo Shrimp Tacos are packing serious flavor. Crispy jumbo shrimp wrapped in a warm flour tortilla with crunchy cabbage, zesty pico de gallo, and our savory secret sauce. Get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos stuffed with big shrimp energy for just $6. That's right, get 2 jumbo shrimp tacos for just $6, only at Del Taco. But hurry, this offer's here for a limited time. Price and participation may vary.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix. It's the lunch break.
I'm sorry, what happened last night? Welcome into the Wednesday edition of the Lunch Break here on KDUS AM 1060. Always on the KDUS AM 1060 app and on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube channel. Chris Schubert with you for the next 2 hours. We don't need to waste little time. There's a lot to discuss from last night's game.
Time for our top story of the day. It's the Daily Special.
Perhaps the best fourth quarter they have played all season. I'll go a step further. Absolutely the best fourth quarter they have played all season as the Suns erase a 23-point second-half deficit to defeat the Los Angeles Clippers 119-117 to earn their first victory. Their first victory against a team with a winning record since the Friday before the NBA trade deadline when they beat the Golden State Warriors. What a wild scene it was last night in downtown Phoenix at the PHX Arena. Or center, whatever we're calling it these days. The box score that I'm looking at here on Pro Basketball Reference is still calling it the Footprint Center. They clearly didn't get the memo. But whatever the name of the building is out front, inside it was a 23-point deficit that the Suns erased, and they earned a much-needed victory that draw them one game closer to 500, draw them a half game closer in the standings to the 10-seeded Dallas Mavericks, and we're going to discuss today if the door has reopened for this team to potentially still be in the mix for a play-in spot. That's what a win last night does. It can kind of reshuffle the deck a little bit and force us to have some different conversations than maybe we were having the night before, but a very impressive effort from a team that today could have taken on a different tone. Today could have been another embarrassment at home. It could have followed in the footsteps of where things were after Sunday's game, when you got embarrassed at home against Minnesota. This could have just been a continuation of that embarrassment, and it was trending in that direction. We were trending towards the path of embarrassment. We were trending towards the path of today's show. I'm an open book on this show pretty regularly. I tell you like I see it. I was watching this game last night. I was watching the way the first half was going down. I was watching the way the start of the third quarter was going down. And I thought to myself that the lead of today's show, we were going to open today's show with a conversation about the Suns needing to make a coaching change, about them needing to just end this experiment, usher in a new chapter, allow the young kids to play, remove the distraction. I mean, we're going to talk about it in the next segment. KD and Coach Bud had a bit of an altercation. I'm going to calm everybody down about that. If you are worried about that altercation, tell me you've never watched a sporting event without telling me you've never watched a sporting event if that bothered you last night. But that optic, that backdrop, getting embarrassed for the second straight game at home, that's how we were going to start today's show. But the Suns, for the first time since the beginning of February, were able to beat a team with a winning record, and they showed the fight. They showed the energy. They had that magic in them. We've asked for it over and over and over again. If they were going to turn this around, if they were going to somehow make a run, it was going to require some magic. Last night had the magic. Last night had what we have been wanting from this team for the last couple of months. Now, I will tell you, it didn't necessarily start that way.
We just got to see a lot more defense from the Suns if they're going to make a move here. The door's opened up with injuries to Kyrie Irving, Domantas Sabonis. Oh, this is what we're talking about. This Suns defense is pathetic.
Pathetic. I mean, that's what it was in the first half. It was the same old Suns. It was the same bad defense. It was the same digging yourself a hole, and you know the amount of effort it's going to take that you're going to have to exert to get out of that hole. It was early. You heard it in the broadcast. Stan Van Gundy making the point on the broadcast last night. And this is not our first go-around with Stan Van Gundy calling Suns game. Remember that Spurs game directly out of the All-Star break? He got on the Suns defense that night. He was doing it again in the first half of the game last night against the Clippers. And he's talking there about how the door has swung open. There are injuries across the NBA. The 10-seeded Dallas Mavericks are down Kyrie Irving. There are reports that Anthony Davis is going to shut it down for the remainder of the season. Is that Dallas team best equipped to be the 10 seed? Are they going to be able to play good enough basketball to hold off a team that makes a run? All the Suns need to do is probably just put a little bit of pressure on Dallas, and you've got a chance. The door might be swinging wide open, and in the middle of him making that point that they need to play better, he then sees a defensive effort that forces him to call pathetic. We were spiraling towards chaos today. And yet, there were a lot of players that played a role, but it was this guy that carried the charge last night.
Phoenix's half-court defense is picked up. Give them a lot of credit here.
This place is going to pop if Durant hits this, and he does! And it does!
If they can get out and play, keep defenses on the move, this ball is hopping, they're making shots.
That cut it to 102-100, and that was the moment for me I started to believe that they were going to be able to win this basketball game. I thought we were setting up, before he knocked down that three, place went nuts. Shout out to the crowd last night, providing the energy on a night where you could have very easily left early. That building could have been half empty by the time it was over and not have the energy that it had. It provided that spark. They responded well to what the team was giving them. I thought we were heading down the path of they're going to fight, they're going to scratch, they're going to claw to dig themselves out of this 23-point hole. But the amount of effort, the toll that takes on you, I thought they were just going to come up short. They were going to exert all of that energy, and it wasn't going to be enough. That is when I started to believe, because Durant was in a zone. He was feeling it. And then, a little bit later on, he did this.
Durant guarded by Dunn. Zubac's looming. Durant rises up, hits it, and we're tied. Timeout, Clippers.
Well, this is it. Just too big. Chris Dunn's great. Doesn't try to put it on the floor. Durant, 15 in the quarter, 30 for the game.
Durant was awesome last night, made more shots in the fourth quarter than I think the entire Clippers team did last night, if I remember the stat correctly. I don't have it in front of me, but he was on fire. And then the moment that we were all waiting for, once they tied the game up, they erased a 23-point deficit. It's Devin Booker that puts them ahead.
Dunn open. Dunn cannot hit. Leonard fighting. Gillespie steals the rebound. Here's Booker. Booker lays it in. Suns lead.
It was the defense. It was the intensity. It was creating turnovers, and it led to that bucket right there that gave them the lead. They looked like a confident basketball team last night. And I apologize to each and every one of you, because we are nearly 10 minutes into this show. We are almost to the end of the first segment of this show, and I have not provided you with the highlight of all highlights, because this guy deserves a ton of praise. We're going to talk about this guy later on in the program, because if there is one player outside of Kevin Durant, because he was on fire in the second half and specifically in the fourth quarter, but if there was somebody who deserves a whole lot of credit for what this team was able to do, it was this guy.
Chris Dunn, their best defender, is on Colin Gillespie.
No fouls to give here. Gillespie open for three. It's good! The Colin Gillespie game.
Look at this pass, though, by Durant. Chris Dunn pulled in on Plumlee's roll. Great pass.
Colin Gillespie delivers in the fourth quarter, drops 10 points, was a plus 21 in the fourth quarter for the Suns. And we are going to talk about this a little bit later on in the program, but he provided everything that the Suns have been missing. That scrappy energy, that gnat pest energy of I'm just going to bother you every time you're down the other end of the floor defensively. I'm going to bother you. And it was infectious. Everybody fed off of the energy that Colin Gillespie provided. And we are going to talk about it later, and that's probably when I'll take the full victory lap on this. We told you that this is the types of moves that Mike Budenholzer should have considered earlier this season. That it might not have been better than Tyus Jones, but you can't tell me that it was going to be all that worse because of where this team was. Give Colin Gillespie some run at the point guard. And last night, he got that run, and he delivered. And my warning to everybody here today, the one takeaway that I want all of you to have today, that should not be the last of Colin Gillespie in a key moment that we see the remainder of this season. Tyus Jones's minutes might need to be scaled back a little bit. They might need to go to Colin Gillespie. We will touch on that a little bit later on here in the program in hour number 2. But the Suns show the fight that we have been asking them to see. And so the question that we have coming out of this, is this a blip on the radar, or are they going to go on a run? And 2 days ago, we would have said that a run may not have mattered, that they dug themselves too big of a hole. But what's going on in Dallas, Sabonis being hurt, there are pathways that seemingly have opened if the Suns can take advantage of it. They went nearly a full month between winning games against teams with winning records. The schedule the rest of the way does not allow them to do that again. This needs to be the start of a run. Is it? I don't know. We'll have to see when they're next in action on Friday. But for once, in what has been a slog recently, it has been just dreadful at times to watch this team play. That was a lot of fun last night, and I'm sure you had a lot of fun watching it and watching Suns basketball for the first time in quite a bit. The phone number for you to join us here during the program, 480-864-1060. If you want to hop on the phone lines, Share your thoughts on the game last night. You can also join us on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Put your thoughts in the live chat as well. So 2 ways for you to interact here with the program today on this Wednesday edition of the show. It was not all good last night. There was a moment early in this game. We mentioned it at the top of this segment, at the top of the show, that I thought we were trending towards some doom today. I thought we were trending towards some chaos today because the coach and a star player got into it. We were trending towards a complete implosion. I'm going to tell you why that wasn't going to be the case. We'll talk about that next here on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
Your morning drive just got a little better. The Dan Patrick Show is live weekday morning starting at 6 exclusively on KDUS AM 1060.
Hosier presents the Unreal Unearthed Tour 2025, live in Phoenix. Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, October 7th. With special guest, Amble. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The #1 album, Unreal Unearthed, is available everywhere. For more, visit hosier.com.
Get ready for an unbelievable experience at Salt River Fields. Immerse yourself in the excitement of spring training as your Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies take the field. Don't miss out. Grab your single game tickets now at saltriverfields.com.
Fisher Tools is your one-stop shop for safety, job site storage, power tools, material handling, hand tools, and things you never knew you needed. If you work in the construction industry or trades, we are your place to shop. Fisher Tools is here to meet the needs of construction pros, facility maintenance, safety, and anyone that wants to have the tools to get the job done right. We carry Milwaukee, DeWalt, Makita, Proto, MSA, Knack, Steel, and so much more.
Hi, I'm Diane Fisher. From our humble beginnings in 1964 at the Phoenix Park and Swap to our 4-acre campus, located just south of Tempe Marketplace, south of Rio Salado, between 101 and McClintock. Fisher Tools has been building the valley for over 60 years. Come check us out and browse our huge selection of tools and anything you need to do the job right. We're also online at fishertools.com. KUPD listeners will receive 10% off their order when you mention this ad. Fisher Tools. If we don't have it, we can't sell it.
When you're injured on the job, you need more than just a workers' comp lawyer. When you need a fighter, you need us. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. For the people. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Jim Rome here with your Rome Report. Just when you thought the Mavericks had already hit rock bottom when they dealt the dude from the second floor to the Lakers in exchange for Anthony Streetclothes Davis, the Mavs' best player, Kyrie Irving, who is having one of his best years ever, shredded his knee. He tore his ACL. He's now lost for the rest of the season. If not for bad luck, the Mavs would have no luck at all. Right when I thought my dude Nico Harrison couldn't look any worse, he looks even worse. In other words, this could not be going any worse for the Mavericks, nor any better for the Lakers. Oh, and by the way, did the Mavericks raise ticket prices as soon as they saw Kyrie writhing on the floor in pain? Would not surprise me at all, given that's exactly what they did after they dealt Luka and before Kyrie went down. Never mind raising ticket prices. Now that Kyrie is lost for the year, why not just make it official and announce today that you're moving the franchise to Vegas? Trust me, nobody would be surprised. I'm Jim Rome. The second half of the basketball season is here, and the race to the playoffs continues on Prize Picks, the best place to cash in on your favorite sports. The app is so simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today, use the code ROME, and get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROME on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 in bonus credit just for playing, and it's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
O'Reilly. Protect your vehicle's engine with Syntec and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec Premium Full Synthetic Motor Oil is formulated for today's engines. Right now, get 5 quarts of Syntec Full Synthetic and a MicroGuard Select Oil Filter for just $32.99. In-store only, limit supplies. See store for details. Choose Syntec exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m.
This is just something I like to call breakfast.
With big name guests, timely sports information, and more on KTUS AM 1060.
That I shared in the last segment. And I said that I wasn't sure if I had it fully correct. But in the last 14 minutes of the game last night, Kevin Durant made more field goals than the entire Clippers team. That was the stat that I saw last night. So the entire last 14 minutes of the game, so the fourth quarter plus, Kevin Durant made more field goals than the entire Clippers team as the Suns stormed all the way back from a 23-point deficit to win 119-117, the first time they beat a team with a current winning record since they beat Golden State on January 31st. Folks, it's March 5th. That's the last time the Suns beat a team that had a winning record when they played them. January 31st, pre-trade deadline. That's how long it's been. The Suns pulled it off in a miracle fashion last night with a 23-point deficit. Let's talk about Kevin Durant, because while he was awesome down the stretch, scored 34, scored 21 of those 34 in the fourth quarter, there was a disagreement that we saw early in the game, so much so that TNT covered it coming out of a break.
To Phoenix, we're showing you what happened in the last timeout. Kevin Durant and head coach Budenholzer had a discussion. There was some miscommunication in an offensive set. The communication on this team has really been a common thread.
So Coach Bud, Kevin Durant getting into it on the sidelines, seemingly having a little bit of a verbal disagreement, a spirited exchange as it was called on the Athletic Twitter account last night with the video of this back and forth. And after the game, Kevin Durant knew that it was going to be a topic of conversation, but downplayed the severity of it. Quote, "We're competitive as two individuals who want to see things done the right way. And sometimes my way ain't the way that Bud wants to do it, and vice versa. And he allows me, as a player on the team, a veteran on the team, to voice my opinion. If we both didn't care, we would never have said stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that the win is going to sweep that stupid stuff under the rug, because people couldn't wait. Even some people in Phoenix, in here, couldn't wait to run with that and say, oh, this is the reason why the team ain't playing well, because of that one specific thing," end quote. I got to tell you, I'm in full agreement with Kevin Durant here. This was going to be a big topic of conversation, especially if the game continued trending the way it was in the first half. If it continued to trend towards getting blown out again at home. Could you imagine the scenes? 2 straight games at home, embarrassed by Minnesota, all those turnovers, right? 22 of them against Minnesota on Sunday night, 40 points off the turnovers. You follow that up with an embarrassing loss at home to the Clippers. You slide further down the standings. Oh, and by the way, there's video of the coach and the star player disagreeing on the sidelines. While I fully agree with Kevin Durant's explanation, and I've played sports, not at the level of Kevin Durant, but I've had disagreements with teammates. I've had disagreements with coaches. I've had disagreements coaching my daughter's softball team with other coaches. There's disagreements that happen in the heat of competition. It's okay. But the optic would have been terrible. The optic would have been awful with that as the backdrop of another embarrassing loss and another embarrassing loss at home. So the fact that they were able to storm back and erase that 23-point deficit, and they were able to not have this be the lead story, I think was a good thing all across the board, because it would have been the lead story. We would have talked about there being a rift between them. But the way Kevin Durant explains it, I fully agree with Kevin Durant's explanation. You've got 2 spirited people who care. You've got 2 spirited individuals who want to win. You've got 2 spirited individuals who don't like the current situation that the Suns find themselves in. You think they really enjoy the fact that they're the 11th ranked team in the Western Conference and they're not even in the playoffs right now? You think it's enjoyable that Kevin Durant constantly hears his name in trade rumors and trade circles right now? Do you think Coach Bud really enjoys the fact that we open the show sometimes talking about whether or not this team needs to make a coaching change? Do you think that's enjoyable? Do you think they're happy with it? Do you think they're just sitting back and enjoying themselves? No, they're competitors. Coaches, players, staff members, everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to be going through what this team is going through right now. Nobody wants to be sitting here looking at a scenario opening itself up like Dallas having injuries that could lead them to miss the playoffs altogether, and nobody truly think that the Suns can be the team that walks through that door, that walks through that opening. It's not enjoyable. And there is a North Star that everybody's looking towards, and that North Star is we want to win. We want to turn this around. And both Coach Bud and Kevin Durant want to turn things around. They are not giving up with 20 games to go left in this season. And so Kevin Durant said, yeah, we're competitors. That's what happens. Coach Bud downplayed it as well. Said that they're old friends. And I bet you, if you went back and you had a running tape all the time of the sideline after a timeout, there would be more examples of these types of interactions. We just don't always see it. We just don't always talk about it. And from a TV perspective, right, let's just put ourselves in the director's chair of TNT. The storyline of this game is the Suns have been imploding all season. The Suns are being embarrassed right now on their home floor by the Los Angeles Clippers as the lead continues to grow. And now, after a timeout is called, there appears to be some level of disagreement between the coach and the star player. Yeah, that's your storyline. Yeah, that's the thing you're going to follow. That's the thing you're going to bring to the attention of the viewer. Of course you are. But good on the Suns for battling back. Good on the Suns for rallying and winning that basketball game last night. And I thought the way both coach and player handled it after the game is not only the right way to handle it, but I also think it's the truth. These things happen more often than you think. We just don't see them very often. So when you see them, it becomes a little jarring. But now in the age of social media, everybody's got their camera out. Everybody's paying attention at all times. And I saw a clip last night, I think it was from 12 News, of more than just what they showed on the TV broadcast. And as the situation kind of developed and went on, it was water under the bridge. Durant and Bud were talking. I think there was a smile exchange by one of them, and they were back on the same page. It's sports. It happens. You're competitors. You maybe disagree with an approach. You disagree with a play call. You disagree with something, and so these moments happen. You would prefer that they didn't, so that they didn't create this fodder. They didn't create this cloud hanging over this team. And imagine if they lost last night, this segment would take on a little bit of a different tone today. But I don't have a single issue with it. I don't have a single issue with the altercation happening in the first place, and I don't think it's that big of a deal. And you know what? I like to listen to players who played. This is Shaq after the game, also saying that it's really not that big of a deal.
This is something that truly is an athlete versus fan conversation. Competitiveness and fire where the fans may see two people arguing.
Well, I believe everything he said, and everything he said was correct, but he used the word dynamic. Dynamically, grab me. Dynamically, this looks like we don't have a good relationship. However, I believe everything he said because, like I said earlier, I don't want to be a hypocrite and say I've had conversations like that with Phil Jackson, with Brian Hill, coaches who I love and respect, coaches who helped me get to that next level. And I like his statement when you got two competitors. Sometimes he wants it his way, sometimes I want it my way. So the fact that they didn't disrespect each other, they're fine. Like if it would have, like the little altercation, they would have kept going at it, disrespecting each other. Now
you got something.
Now I know you have a problem. But listen, bro, this happens. Trust me.
This happens. It's one of the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball saying this happens. It happens on the regular. We just don't see it all the time. So when we see it, we take a step back. There's a reaction to it. There's a guttural reaction to seeing something like that of, oh no, my team's already spiraling down the toilet this season, and now you've got the coach and the star player not being on the same page. It can be a tough optic. But at the end of the day, these things happen. And if it was really that big of a deal, right, let's, for just a brief moment, say that they actually are at odds with each other. Could the team have come back from 23 points down last night? If there was the turmoil that image portrayed, would they have been able to rally the way that they did last night? Or again, was it just an isolated incident over the course of a game between two competitors who just want the best, who just want to strive towards the same goal of winning that basketball game? And yeah, I'm sure there was some frustration of the fact that they weren't playing very well. And so that boils over too. But a complete non-story. I get why it's a conversation, and I get why I have to come out here today on the show and say that I don't think it's that big of a deal. I understand why optically it looks like it's a big deal. This is sports, man. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be everybody gets along and everybody's buddy-buddy. You got teams that win championships with players in the locker room that can't stand one another, okay? That's sports. You bring people from all walks of life together into a room with a common goal. You're not always going to see eye to eye, and sometimes it's going to spill over and we're going to see it. That's what we saw last night, and it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's not the reason why the season has slid out of control. That has nothing to do with it. Those are two competitors looking to achieve the same goal last night. Non-story. Doesn't even worry me in the slightest from last night's game. And again, they came back. That happened early in the game. They came back and rallied from 23 points down. If there was all of this turmoil that picture portrayed, they wouldn't have come back from the game last night. 480-864-1060, your way to hop into the program. Also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Michael over there says, don't want to see them have to do this every game. Will be very tough. Yeah, that's another big takeaway from last night's contest of we talk about this. You can't make a living digging these big holes and then trying to see your way out of these big deficits. We played that cut from you, I think it was on last week's show, of me early in the season saying, hey, you can't do this. You can't be down 18, 21 points and dig yourself out of it. It's a nice story. It was fun last night. That's great. But they can't make their living. They've got too many good teams left on their schedule for this to be the way. They've got to clean it up. They've got to play better early if they are truly going to go on a run. And last night was the start of it. And it could be. That could be the spark that this team needed. A big 23-point rally at home. You're playing some tough opponents. It's Denver up next, but maybe you go on a little bit of a run to put some pressure on Dallas. But yes, I agree with you, Michael. They cannot go this way moving forward. They cannot, over these final 20 games, expect to make a push and put pressure on Dallas if they're going to play the way they played in the first half last night. You can't always come back from 23 points down. It requires too much effort night in and night out. Coming up on the other side of the break, are the Arizona Cardinals going to be priced out of the big names in free agency? Why one place makes me think so. That's next on the lunch break. KDUS AM 1060.
It gets a little crazy in the sports zoo sometimes. Listen weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. with The Rooster right here on KDUS AM 1060.
Breaking news, and this one is almost unbelievable.
Yeah, it's all about new customers at Bet365 because they get $150 in bonus bets when they bet $5, win or lose. And even better, bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, and player props.
There you have it. Bet $5 to get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. And see why. It's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. T&Cs apply.
Rock legend Billy Idol. Live in Phoenix. Billy Idol. It's a nice day to tour again. With very special guest Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Live at Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, April 30th. Get tickets now at livenation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
If you're tired of struggling to lose weight, Red Mountain Weight Loss has the solution. Discover the power of semaglutide and tirzepatide, the breakthrough GLP-1 medications that are transforming lives. You'll lose up to 15 pounds a month without feeling hungry or deprived. That's huge because it makes it easier for you to lose weight. And that's what we do. At Red Mountain, our doctors specialize in medical weight loss. We've helped people lose weight for over 30 years now, and we can help you too with quality GLP medications that cost less than half the price of Ozempic. Visit us in person, online, or skip the doctor visits altogether, and we'll ship the medication direct to your door. For a limited time, you can save $100 on any GLP-1 program and get our lowest prices of the year. Find your weight loss solution and lose up to 15 pounds by this time next month at Red Mountain Weight Loss. Go to redmountainweightloss.com. That's redmountainweightloss.com.
At A1 Garage Door Service, we wouldn't be here without you. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello. During Customer Appreciation Month, we're giving back with special offers that you do not want to miss. Whether you're a loyal customer or trying us out for the first time, if you've never experienced A1, now's the perfect time to see why so many families trust A1. To all of our past, present, and future customers, thank you.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
is on the line, and I've only got a shot clock's worth of time to tell you about Subway's $6.99 footlong deal. That's right. Order now in the Subway app and get any footlong on the menu for just $6.99. Fresh sliced deli meat, fresh crispy veggies. Too much good stuff. Get it now on the Subway app. Any footlong for just $6.99. Use code 699FL now. Only here for a limited time. Redeemable at participating U.S. restaurants. Subway app. Online orders only. Add-ons additional plus tax. Additional fees apply on delivery. Excludes footlong snacks. Limited time.
Right around the corner in the NFL. Monday is when we can start. And I'll tell you, it is a very big news day in the NFL. We'll probably dive deeper into some of these stories during the leftovers. Tyler Lockett leaving Seattle. DK Metcalf requesting a trade, and the Seahawks are apparently going to grant said trade request. We've got Christian Kirk getting cut by the Jaguars. The Bears made moves earlier today. The NFL hot stove, if we want to steal the baseball term, in the lead up to Monday. And there's a reason why all of this stuff is happening. Everyone needs to get cap compliant before the start of the league year. That's in the middle of next week. Everybody wants to be able to make moves when business opens on Monday. So you set some of the stage now. You cut some guys so you're able to look at the math. You look at your cap number. You know what you have. You know what obligations you've moved on from. And so it's going to be a busy couple of days here. We're going to see a lot of this the rest of this week leading into what should be a frenzy on Monday of activity across the National Football League when the legal tampering period opens. When that legal tampering period opens, what are the Cardinals going to do? Where may they park their dollars? Well, ESPN did a really interesting exercise that dropped this morning on ESPN.com. They asked reporters that cover all of their teams, all their NFL reporters, to serve as the general managers for the teams and make offers to players in free agency. And they had to, use the salary cap restraints, look at everything that was available in free agency. They had to be true to form in doing this. And then they had their national reporter, Dan Graziano, be the agent for all of these players and accept the deal, reject the deal, go back and forth with these teams, and pick a new team. So Sam Darnold's in here, Josh Sweat's in here, Javon Holland's in here. And so it's just an interesting peek into how this might go. And when I clicked on this story, I was mainly interested to see if anybody would land with the Arizona Cardinals, but something else emerged. Because when you scroll down to Josh Sweat and his free agency, two things emerged for me. One, a lot of the team reporters were interested in getting Josh Sweat. The Cardinals were interested. The Commanders were interested. The Packers made an offer. The Panthers made an offer. So the reporters for all four of those teams made offers. And we don't just know that they made offers. We know the dollar amounts that these reporters offer. Now, is it a true one-to-one of what the market might look like? No, but I think it's an interesting case study. The Cardinals, Josh Weinfuss, offered 3 years, $43 million, with $21 million guaranteed. The Commanders offered 3 years, $60 million, with $40 million guaranteed. The Packers offered 4 years, $72 million, with $24 million guaranteed. The Panthers offered 4 years, $78 million, with $46.8 million guaranteed. The ultimate decision that was made here was that Sweat went to the Commanders. Washington offered the most money on a per-year basis, $20 million per year on the 3 year, $60 million. So it didn't give the amount of years as the Packers and the Panthers, but gave the more dollars per year at $20 million. But the Cardinals were a distinct last here. And Graziano didn't say that, but just look at this. The Commanders offered 3 years, $60. The Cardinals offered 3 years, $43 million. That's $17 million difference all over the same term. The Cardinals wouldn't go to a fourth year the way the Packers and the Panthers did. So the question that I had coming out of reading this story, and I think what Weinfuss was saying here is he thinks that Monty is going to continue to be conservative. And if he continues to be conservative in his free agent pursuits, then he's going to miss on players like Sweat. He's going to miss on players like Milton Williams, who they didn't even offer a deal on. He's going to miss on players at other positions, interior offensive lineman, wide receiver. If they err on the conservative side, they're going to swing and miss. These 4 deals, 2 teams offered 4 years, 1 team offered 3 years at $20 million per, and the offer that the Cardinals came in was dead last. It was $43 million for 3 years. That was $14 million a season. That's $6 million less than what the Commanders deal was. And looking at the other 2 teams, looking at the Packers offer, they were at 72 for 4. They were up to $18 million. The Panthers were 78 for 4. They were at 19.5. The Cardinals weren't even close on an annual average basis. And what Weinfuss is doing is he's acting like he's Monty Ossenfort, and so he clearly feels like Monty and company are going to err on the conservative side, and that means they're going to miss out on making a meaningful addition to this group. And you can't do that. You can't swing and miss when it comes to Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. You can debate quantity over quality, and we've had that debate here on the show. I said this earlier in the week, but I'll mention it here again. Got to be aggressive. You've been conservative your first 2 off seasons here in your free agency pursuits. You haven't doled out the big contracts, the big cash. And I've said you can't do that every year because your hit rate's not going to be great. Even the best GMs don't have an excellent hit rate when it comes to free agency. And so that means you're going to carry a lot of money on the books. But you have to pick a moment. You have to pick a time when it is the right time to bend your own rules a little bit, to go outside of the box a little bit, to be a little comfortable in the uncomfortable. And I think the set of circumstances this offseason for the Cardinals is the perfect storm. I think they have a mandate to make the playoffs. Whether it's explicit, I think there is a mandate to make the playoffs. So there's pressure there. There is a lot of cap space available to this team. There is a limited amount of draft assets. I can somewhat understand the approach of the last 2 seasons of not wanting to spend big dollars in free agency because you really believed in your draft pedigree and you had a ton of draft picks. So you don't worry about missing out on a position because I'm going to take multiple bites of the apple in the draft. I'm going to have double-digit draft picks. I'm going to get a wide receiver. I'm going to get a running back. I'm going to get a backup tight end. I'm going to get a corner, a safety, an edge player, a defensive lineman. I'm going to cover all of my bases. I can appreciate that, and I can understand that approach. 6 draft picks this year. 6. The fewest amount that they've had since Monty has gotten here. Do you see how all of these things come together to point towards a need to be aggressive, a need to be a little uncomfortable, a need to step outside of your comfort zone, to step outside of the box, stretch a little bit, overpay a little bit for a player? You don't have various avenues to fill all of your needs. You're limited in draft picks. You have a decent amount of cap space. So in years past, you've had more draft picks than cap space, and so you use those draft picks successfully. Now this offseason is when the coin flips to the other side. But if this is going to be their mantra, and they're going to come in with these lowball offers, $14 million per for a guy who ultimately signed a deal for $20 million, and you're just going to say, well, we just didn't feel like that was the right value, then guess what? You're going to miss on every big offseason target that you have. And that is an unacceptable outcome for the Arizona Cardinals. So you're going to have to pick a player. You don't have to do it for every single player you pursue, but you have to pick one player. Who is the guy for us this offseason? Is it Sweat? Is it Williams? Who is it? And that's the guy that you say, okay, I'm comfortable enough going to here. And then saying, I'm comfortable enough if we go a little bit beyond this number. This is the guy, this is the number of where I am willing to go, maybe beyond where we've been comfortable in the past. You've got to pick that guy. You have to know when it comes to Monday who that player is and what your upper limit is. And you know what? If you have that upper limit that's stretching it even for you, and the market takes you past that number, fine, so be it. But this example of the Cardinals only offering $14 million a season for Josh Sweat on a 3-year deal, when all the other offers came in way above that in terms of years, 4-year deals across the board, and the deal that he ultimately signed was for $20 million per, and you came in at 14, that is not going to cut it this offseason. The phone number, as always, 480-864-1060 is how you can hop into the program here today. We've also got you on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream as well. Time flies when you're having fun. Hour number 1 of the program nearly in the books. We've got one more here for you. So coming up on the other side of the break. The Diamondbacks last year did something that was beat by nobody in baseball. And yes, that includes the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Mets. I'll tell you what it is next. The lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Every Monday night, check out Ray Adams as he hosts the Monday Night Golf and Lifestyle Show from 6 to 7 p.m. here on KDUS AM 1060.
Ghost World Tour 2025. Ghost Theatrical Heavy Metal Arena Rock. August 11th, Footprint Center. Tickets on sale now at LiveNation.com. Don't miss Ghost.
Hey basketball fans, Tom Chambers here reminding you that just like in a game, you need a solid defense for your home. And that starts with a reliable roof from Right Way Roofing. Hey Lori, as owner of Right Way Roofing, what sets you apart from the competition?
Our team tackles any roofing challenge from shingles to tile to foam roofing. We'll make sure your roof wins against the toughest opponents, rain, wind, and even those scorching summer days.
Make Right Way Roofing your MVP.
We're Right Way Roofing and we do it right. We'll always keep you watertight.
A noisy garage door is a cry for help that often requires only simple maintenance. However, if left untreated, could lead to costly repairs. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello from A1 Garage Door Service. Don't wait until a simple garage door repair becomes a major problem. If your garage door is noisy, if bugs are getting in, or if it struggles to open, your garage door is in need of repair. From simple repairs to upgrades, it's A1 from day one. We fix garage doors fast and with quality parts designed to last a lifetime. Our springs, rollers, and openers are tested by running them up and down, open and closed all day, 24/7, so you can feel confident with every A1 garage door repair. Replacing the bottom rubber on your garage door can have a huge impact on the number of bugs you see in your garage and in your home. Keep those creepy crawlers outside by calling A1 Garage Door Service today and receive the best service, best parts, and best warranty in the industry.
A1Garage.com. A1 from day one.
Call today and take advantage of our $29.95 tune-up special.
The Varsity Sports Show dives into Arizona high school sports, JUCO, NAIA, and NCAA sports. Catch it Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Back to wrap up hour number 1 here of the program. Appreciate you being here on this Wednesday. Make sure you download the KDUS AM 1060 app so you can take us with you on the go. We've got ASU women's basketball later on today. Their first round matchup in the Big 12 women's basketball tournament. I believe pregame is at 4 with tip at 4:30. You can hear that right here on KDUS AM 1060. The Associated Press obtained the numbers of the payroll figures for all of the teams in Major League Baseball, and to the surprise of absolutely nobody, the New York Mets led the way in 2024, the third straight season that they topped this mark, $333.3 million regular payroll record. They had $430.4 million in payroll plus luxury tax. The year before that, it was $420 million, and they have done so for 3 straight seasons. Since Steve Cohen has taken over for the New York Mets in 4 years, they have paid $1.36 billion in payroll and luxury tax over the 4 seasons. That is more than what the Marlins, Pirates, and Rays each have spent on players in the past 21 seasons combined. So the Marlins' last 21 seasons, short of that $1.36 billion number for Steve Cohen since he took over in New York. Do you see why we're probably heading towards a lockout
when the CBA comes up in 2 seasons? Do you see why we're heading towards a massive conversation about a salary cap and the financials of baseball? 3 teams, the Marlins, the Pirates, and the Rays, in 21 seasons. You add up every single one of their years, all 21 years of the Marlins' budgets, all 21 years of the Pirates' budgets. The Mets in 4 seasons have paid more in payroll and luxury tax than those 3 teams have done combined. $1.36 billion in payroll and luxury tax. Now, the key part of this, and I'm going to pay off the tease that I had before we started this segment. Last year, the Diamondbacks did something that no other team beat them at. Not the Dodgers, not the Yankees, not the Mets. The Arizona Diamondbacks had the largest increase in payroll year over year. From 2023 to 2024, the Arizona Diamondbacks had the largest increase in payroll out of any team in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers increased their payroll from 2023 to 2024 by $29.5 million. The Yankees increased their payroll year over year $27.1 million. The New York Mets, we just told you, spent $333.3 million last year. They increased their payroll by $13.7. The Arizona Diamondbacks last year took their payroll from 2023, $128.9 million, and increased it all the way to $177.1 million, an increase of $48.2 million. Nobody had a higher mark. The Cubs were second at 34.2. So now you look at this year, they're at 177.1 for last year. They're up to around 193, 195. That's nearly an increase of $18 million. That would have been good enough to put them in the upper echelon as well. The only teams that spent more than $18 million difference between 23 and 24 was Washington, Kansas City, Baltimore, the Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, Astros, Cubs, Diamondbacks. 9. So they would have been in the top 10 again. They'll be in the top 10 again if you just take their number from last year to this year and apply it to what we've seen over these 2 years. And so they spent more money than everybody else. My takeaway here, this is why it is so important for this team to succeed. Because I think everybody has enjoyed the Diamondbacks being major players in free agency. I think they've enjoyed the Diamondbacks being able to add players like the caliber of Corbin Burns in free agency. Like being able to add a Jordan Montgomery or an Eduardo Rodriguez in free agency when those scenarios pop up. Signing a Jock Peterson, being able to trade for a Josh Naylor and take on that salary. I think we all enjoy the Diamondbacks being major players. And outside of the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, they're really the other big fish. And they're not at that level, right? Their payroll this year, under $200 million. 10 teams last year topped $200 million in total. Diamondbacks aren't in that club. So it's not like they're spending wildly, but for them, they're spending more than they ever had in the past. It is why they need to succeed. Their TV deal's up in the air. They are going to take a loss on this season. They're just spending more than they bring in. They're spending more than they bring in, and they're doing so in an effort to try to win so they can recoup it on the back end. So that if they have success this year with that $190+ million payroll, that it will lead to increased ticket sales. That it will lead to a better TV deal when that situation resolves itself. Merch deals, all of that sponsorship type stuff to where they can recoup that back over the course of time and then continue to reinvest into the product. The playoff gates are important. That playoff share of the TV deal is important. That's the reason why they were able to go from $128 million to nearly $180, why they were able to have an increase of $48.2 million. All that TV money that came in over the playoffs, their playoff gates, the millions of dollars that was, I don't want to call it free money, but it's basically free money. When you put your budget together for the year, you don't calculate any playoff gates, any playoff revenue, playoff TV deals. You got to be more on the conservative side. Then you get all that extra money, and then you can completely reinvest it into the team. And I don't want this team to have had the resources put behind them by Ken Kendrick over the last couple of years and it be for nothing. I want to see them continue to live in this range. If they live in this range, 170, 180, 190 million dollars, they're going to be able to be a major player for some free agents. If they structure contracts correctly, if they get extensions done like they did with Geraldo Perdomo, if they get those done early, it frees up that additional money for them. That's why there's pressure on this team to succeed this year. That's why there's pressure for them to bounce back from last season. Because if you have a couple of years in a row where you don't make the playoffs, and if they didn't make the playoffs this year, it would be 2 in a row, those numbers just have to come down. They will come down. And then you'll start to see them be more in line with 2023. And you know what that means if they have to bring those numbers down? That means trading players that you love. That means finding salaries that you can move on from and try to recoup assets in a different way. But last year, the Diamondbacks did something that no other team in baseball could beat them at. They increased their payroll, they increased their budget by more than any other team in baseball. Now, mind you, they're still not one of the top spending teams, right? They're not one of the 10 teams that spent over $200 million. Cubs spent over $200 million last year. Houston, Atlanta, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Mets, the Giants, Toronto, Philly, Texas. Those are your teams that spent over $200 million. They made a big increase. Now, they're not San Diego, who shed $85 million from their 2023 budget. They're not the Angels, who shed $51.5 million. The Twins, $34 million. They're not at the complete other end of the spectrum here. They are right there, smack in the middle of the road, doing what you want to see a team do when their window starts to open. Support that window with dollars. Support that window with resources to try to add via free agency. You just have to hope that this team is able to put together a product on the field and have results that allow them to keep living somewhat in this tax bracket, living somewhat in this neighborhood, being able to spend around this, because there's a big difference between having a payroll of $128.9 million and having a payroll of $177.1. That nearly $50 million difference, that's a couple of impact players. That's 1 or 2 big-time players. It might be 3 or 4 mid-tier players or just average players that round out the edges of your roster. There's a difference between that. And so if the results follow, they might be able to continue to stay in that range. And that is going to give Mike Hazen the resources, the dollars, the investment that he needs to continue to have a winner here. Now, I'm excited for baseball season. I've told you many times over what I think of this team and what I think they can do. I think 90-plus wins are on the table. I think having a summer where this team has 2 Cy Young candidates is on the table. I think a summer where every series with the Dodgers is must-see baseball and feels like a playoff atmosphere is on the table. I think Corbin Carroll being an MVP candidate, Ketel Marte remaining in the MVP conversation is on the table. I think all of that is available to this team. And so if those results come, imagine when the trade deadline rolls around. They might want to buy. They might want to take a big swing and add some talent, add that elite reliever, trade for somebody, an additional bat for their lineup if that's what they think the missing piece is. And that would make for a very exciting summer here. They just barely missed last year. And you know what? That would have been all the reason. You added $48 million to the budget, $48 million to the payroll, and you missed the playoffs. You took a step backwards. That would have been an easy excuse to revert back to somewhat in line with 2023 numbers. But instead, Ken Kendrick doubled down. And it's the best kind of double down. It's a double down that reinforced his belief in this team. And I think that belief is going to pay off. I think that belief is going to pay off in a way where we see this team competing in a big way in the National League. The National League's tough. You got your own division with the Dodgers, with the Padres, with the Giants. That's going to be tough. But then you've got the Phillies, you've got the Mets, you've got the Braves, you've got the Brewers, you've got the Cubs, the Reds, all of these teams that are actively trying to win. That is a very, very tough hill to climb. And I think this team can do it. And you're seeing the investment from the team behind it. So I saw this today as the AP got these numbers, and I thought it was interesting. One, the top line of who spent the most and how one owner is spending more in 4 years than teams have done in the last 2 decades. That's not good for the health of baseball. But more importantly, the top line takeaway on a lot of these stories is the Diamondbacks had the biggest growth in budget, more than anybody else. It's the reason why people have been talking about them as a sleeping giant in all of baseball. Hour number 1 of the program in the books. Hour number 2. We'll start with this. 3 players played nearly the entire fourth quarter. You had Kevin Durant, you had Devin Booker, and Colin Gillespie? That's next, the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
The legacy continues. Pantera. The heaviest tour of the summer. Tearing up Talking Stick Resort Amphitheater, August 26th. With Amon Amarth. On sale now at LiveNation.com. Part of the America First Credit Union Concert Series.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Play Monopoly Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery and bring the game to life. Pass go and collect up to $500,000. Follow the signs and take a chance to win real money and multiply your prize up to 100 times. Imagine your next big adventure with Monopoly Multiplier Scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Monopoly is a trademark of Hasbro.
American Family Insurance is a lot like Captain America. He protects the world.
It's just doing my job.
And we help protect your dreams with amazing auto and home coverage. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com. And see Marvel Studios' Captain America: Brave New World.
Suit up. We need to move.
Only in theaters. Rated PG-13.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Wish your school better fit your needs? Switching to Primavera Online mid-year is easy. Enjoy a flexible online education from the comfort and safety of home, plus exclusive benefits like free private tutoring and merit awards for college and more. Enroll at chooseprimavera.com.
At the Phoenix Zoo, we are the home of... And... which also makes us the home of... Phoenix Zoo. That's zoo we are. For tickets, hours, and much more, visit phoenixzoo.org.
AM 1060 KDUS Tempe Phoenix and KSLX HD2 Scottsdale Phoenix.
We start hour number 2 of the program. I told you it was a busy day in the NFL. And how about this during the last commercial break, or at least that's when I saw it on social media. A potential dream of the Arizona Cardinals came to an end as Max Crosby and the Las Vegas Raiders agreed to a 3-year, $106.5 million extension. It includes $91.5 million guaranteed. It makes Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. This contract extension report courtesy of Adam Schefter of ESPN. 3 years, $106.5 million for Max Crosby. So for those of you that were still holding on to hope, for those of you out there that still thought there was a pathway for the Arizona Cardinals to snag Max Crosby away from the silver and black, not happening anymore. I thought the moment they hired a 70-plus-year-old head coach in Pete Carroll that ended that dream. But now, pen to paper, crossing T's, dotting I's, signatures being made, a 3-year, $106.5 million contract extension. Max Crosby, the highest-paid non-quarterback, and now we wait because Micah Parsons' contract is coming up next. Myles Garrett is looking for a new deal, whether that is in Cleveland or it is with somebody else. We know that he has apparently rejected any talks with Cleveland when it comes to a contract extension. TJ Watt's going to want a new deal. So the pass rush market is wild. Nick Bosa had the market $34 million. Max Crosby now has reset the number, $35.5 million per season over this 3-year extension with the Las Vegas Raiders. I told you, it is this week in the NFL. It is the lead up to Monday. Everybody wants to leave no question marks. Guy I need to get under contract, I want to get it done. Player that I'm considering cutting, I need to cut. Cap compliancy, I want to do that right away. Everybody wants to get to the weekend. They want to get to Monday having a full, complete picture of what their offseason is going to look like. They want the ability to start talking to teams on Monday, start talking to players on Monday and agents and have a good gauge of where they're at, what salary cap space they have, what holes they have on the roster, what extensions may or may not have been done. I mean, at this pace, we're going to get a Jamar Chase extension here pretty soon. That's kind of the path we're going down as teams try to set themselves up well for success come Monday. So we'll keep an eye on the rest of this as the show progresses, as the week progresses. And obviously, we'll hit some of the bigger stories during the leftovers. It's a very NFL news-heavy edition of the leftovers to close out this hour of the program. Last night, fourth quarter for the Phoenix Suns. Kevin Durant, minutes played, 12. All 12 minutes of the fourth quarter, Kevin Durant on the floor for the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker, minutes played, all 12 minutes for the Phoenix Suns played by Devin Booker. Only one other player cracked double digits. And there is one player that was nearly a part of the 12-minute club. Colin Gillespie last night during the fourth quarter played 11 minutes and 57 seconds. He was 4 of 6 from the field, 2 of 3 from behind the three-point line, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 10 points, a plus 21 in the fourth quarter as he helped lead the charge back for the Phoenix Suns as they erase a 23-point deficit to defeat the Los Angeles Clippers 119-117. And so I wanted to dedicate an entire segment to Colin Gillespie. Am I going to take somewhat of a victory lap here? You betcha. Because around the trade deadline, around the All-Star break, what conversation did we have over and over again here on the show? It's time to make a change at point guard. Tyus Jones, the turnovers, him just being absent in the fourth quarter of these games because the team just didn't trust him. He wasn't providing anything of value to the team in this position. And the point I kept making is your season is spiraling. You are playing nowhere near the type of basketball that you expected to play this year. It can't get any worse. Ty Washington, Colin Gillespie, it can't be any worse than where Tyus Jones was at. And so I joined the calls of others of wanting to have somebody else be the starting point guard. Now, the ultimate place we got to coming out of that break, if you remember, they just put Bradley Beal back into the starting lineup, and Bradley Beal left the game last night, did not return in the second half with a calf injury, so who knows how long he's going to be out with that. He's been dealing with it for a little bit. They listed him as questionable going into the game last night, and so that popped up on the injury report once again for the Phoenix Suns, as now they have to navigate a potential Bradley Beal-less Suns team. But I thought it was time to give somebody else a run. Why not see what Colin Gillespie has? Why not see what Ty Washington has? Why not just see? And if it doesn't work, okay. You're not a team that's chasing down the Warriors' regular season win total. It's not a scenario of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's broken. It's very broken. The Phoenix Suns were very broken at the time that we were having that conversation. And so I was a part of the calls of making a change at point guard. And I was a part of the calls of saying, hey, let's give Colin Gillespie a chance. Let's give Ty Washington a chance. And so last night, I'll tell you, it was particularly enjoyable for me to watch Colin Gillespie thrive in these moments for the Phoenix Suns. And not just thrive in terms of the points that he put up, right? He only ended up with 10 points, all 10 points in the fourth quarter. Not only did he make some big threes, I just thought he provided an energy and an attitude that has been missing from this team on the defensive end. The team played New Orleans last week, right? Jose Alvarado, You're annoyed when you play him because you just know what he's going to demand of you. You know what he's going to do to you on the defensive end. And I got to tell you, watching Colin Gillespie play last night, his energy on both ends of the floor, the way that he was just cutting, taking the ball to the basket, it felt like he was just providing an energy and an attitude that this team didn't have, that they have been missing. And so for me right now, Colin Gillespie is the starting point guard of this basketball team. You don't have Bradley Beal, so you're not going back to a place where those three guys are all going to be in the lineup, Beal, Booker, Durant. So you're going to put in a traditional point guard. It's time. Tyus Jones last night didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. For the game, Tyus Jones played 18 minutes, I want to say. Played 18 minutes and 49 seconds. Colin Gillespie played 14 minutes, 36 seconds in the game last night. Nearly 12 minutes in the fourth quarter. There's a new starting point guard in town for the Phoenix Suns, and his name is Colin Gillespie. Why? Because he provides a different attitude, a different energy. And attitude, I don't mean body language. I just mean the effort, the energy, the flying around nature. Every loose ball, he seems like he's all over the place. He's flying in to make sure that he's breaking up potential offensive rebounds for the Clippers last night. He is just trying to cause as much havoc. He is trying to keep opposing teams off their game and on their toes. I can't say the same for Tyus Jones. I can't. As much as I like Tyus, he's a good player. Hasn't fit here for Phoenix. And if this is going to turn into something, and we're going to talk about this on the other side of the break, if this is going to turn into something for the Phoenix Suns, they need to continue to harvest what they did in the fourth quarter. Because they started and ended the game really well. +6 at the end of the first quarter, and it was a +21 in the fourth quarter. That second quarter was abysmal. Outscored 41-19 in the second quarter. Defense was awful. If they are going to turn this into something, they need to harvest what they did in the fourth quarter. And you know what they did in the fourth quarter? Truthfully, they had a heavy dose of Kevin Durant being Kevin Durant. The final 14 minutes of the basketball game, KD made more shots than the entire Clippers team. So it was a heavy dose of the best player on the team. And who was number 2? It was Colin Gillespie. If you were listing reasons why the Suns were able to make that comeback in the fourth quarter, Kevin Durant's number 1, Colin Gillespie is a close number 2. You felt it watching that game last night. If you did, you felt it. And if you're listening to this program, you probably watched that game last night. Colin Gillespie was a difference maker. Driving to the basket, laying things up, making good passes, being a pest on defense, just being an agitator. That's what the Suns have been missing. When we play this cut, and I'll play it for you again, of Stan Van Gundy talking about the Suns' defense, and he called it pathetic.
We just got to see a lot more defense from the Suns if they're going to make a move here. The door's opened up with injuries to Kyrie Irving, Domantas Sabonis. Oh, this is what we're talking about. This Suns defense is pathetic.
That's during that second quarter when they got outscored 41-19. That comment about a pathetic defense and the door being open because of the injuries to Kyrie Irving and to Sabonis, giving the Suns somewhat of a pathway, maybe a 1 or 2% chance that they didn't have in previous days, that if they're going to walk through that door, they have to have a better defensive effort. Guess who provided that better defensive effort? Guess who provided just a better all-around effort in the fourth quarter when they needed a comeback? Colin Gillespie. You don't think when that game got close, Colin Gillespie realized, I'm out here with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker in a have-to-have-it game if we're going to try to go on a run? And he thrived in those moments. He knocked down this big three. He knocked down this shot.
Chris Dunn, their best defender, is on Colin Gillespie.
No fouls to give here. Gillespie open for 3. It's good!
That's in a 2-point game. That's what the game 116-114. The hay's not in the barn yet. You've stormed back. You've made this great comeback. You've erased a 23-point deficit. Now you have a small lead in the fourth quarter at home. Your crowd's into it. There's pressure now because you can win this game. This game is ours now. All the momentum on our side. We've just got to finish the job. And in that moment, Colin Gillespie knocks down that shot and plays that way in the fourth quarter in his nearly 12 minutes of action. Missed all but 3 seconds at the end of the game.
The Suns showed fight last night in large part because of the way Colin Gillespie played in the fourth quarter. So there's your starting point guard. With Bradley Beal out, there's an opening in the starting lineup. This is Colin Gillespie's time to be in the starting five for the Phoenix Suns. That's not to say you send Tyus Jones to Mars. You don't do what you did to Yusuf Nurkic. I'm not saying that. Colin Gillespie is the starting point guard of the Phoenix Suns right now. You played really well. He was a large part of being able to fuel that comeback. If this is going to spark something, we're going to talk about that here on the other side of the break. If this is going to spark something, then you need to reward the people that were part of that spark. And Colin Gillespie was at the center of that spark last night. 480-864-1060, your way to join us here during hour number 2 of the program. You can also hop in on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream. Coming up on the other side of the break, 20 games to play. 3 back of the last play-in spot. Do we need to see this through? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Check out KDUS AM 1060 on 100.7 KSLX HD2. That's right, HD radio on 100.7 channel number 2.
Soccer fans, the wait is over. Phoenix Rising kicks off the season Saturday, March 8th at 7 p.m., and we need you in the stadium. Tickets start at just $15. Get yours now at phxrisingfc.com. Plus, the first 1,000 fans through the gates will receive a commemorative 2025 season rally towel. Wear red, bring the energy, and help pack the fortress as we kick off a new season.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee, Peter Frampton. Let's Do It Again Tour, June 25th, Arizona Financial Theater. Grammy winner, the one and only Peter Frampton. On sale now at livenation.com.
Now through March 11th at Whole Foods Market, take a journey to the Mediterranean and explore sun-drenched flavors. Save on everything from indulgent cheeses and decadent wines to coastal staples like branzini and olive oil. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, Mike Barrow from Barrow's Pizza here. The way we see it, family isn't just a cherished thing, it's everything. For us, that starts with our Grandma Angelina's family recipes, brought over from Sarconi, Italy, like our sweet and tangy pizza sauce, 100% real mozzarella, and our fresh dough made every morning. And because every Barrow's is family-owned, never franchised, we personally make sure the quality's there at every location. So stop in and give Barrow's Pizza a try. It's authentic food from our family to yours.
Superstar Car Wash presents Random Acts of Super. Today, we're hooking you up with a free Super Protect car wash. Just text DESERT to 27800 and get our premium wash for free. Stay clean, Superstars. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Above the Noise. For most of the season, the Golden State Warriors were stuck in neutral, hovering around 500 as Steph Curry carried an uneven supporting cast. But with the arrival of Jimmy Butler, the landscape is shifting. No longer can defenses throw everything at Steph. Butler's presence demands attention, and suddenly, the Warriors are looking dangerous. Curry reminded everybody why he's one of the game's all-time greats with another vintage performance in the Garden last night, scoring 28 in a crucial win. It's a stage he's dominated before, but this time it felt different. Golden State is now the number 6 seed in the West and has climbed out of the play-in territory. 20 games to go, just 3 games back of the number 5 seed within striking distance. The formula is familiar: an elite Curry, a seasoned Butler, and a team that's battle-tested. With momentum building, the Warriors aren't just in the mix. They're a team nobody's going to want to face come playoff time. I'm Dan Patrick, and this is Above the Noise. A great lawn is like a great sports team. It takes expertise and a little extra care to stand out, and that's where True Green comes in. Here's the best part. It's more affordable than you think. They'll even match any competitor's price. Plus, True Green backs it all up with a satisfaction guarantee. Not happy? They will come back between visits to make it right. So don't wait. Head to TrueGreen.com today and let the pros do the work while you sit back and enjoy the results. Exclusions apply. See TrueGreen.com for details.
At Rocket, we believe everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. So if you're feeling locked out of home ownership, we're here to give you back the keys. We're opening doors, breaking down walls, and doing everything we can to turn renters into owners. And we're not going to stop until we help everyone home. To find out more, visit Rocket.com. Rocket. Own the dream.
HD Radio is here for KDUS AM 1060. Check out your favorite shows and games on 100.7 KSLX HD2.
With the win last night, Phoenix Suns find themselves just 3 games back of the Dallas Mavericks for the final play-in spot. With 20 games to go in the regular season, the Suns will need to make up 3 games if they are to pass Dallas and get that last play-in spot. They've opened up a 1-game cushion over Portland, a 2-game cushion over San Antonio. Those are the teams directly behind them that have even a remote possibility of getting in front of them. The Suns are 12 games in front of New Orleans and 13 and a half, doing some quick math, in front of Utah. So that doesn't feel like it's too big of a concern. You've got Portland and San Antonio on their heels, although those two teams aren't playing great basketball as of late. Portland 5-5 in their last 10, San Antonio 4-6. Without Wemby, you just don't know how much gas they have left in the tank. And so for Phoenix, with the win last night, their first win against a team that entered the night with a winning record since January 31st. The win makes them just now 3-7 in their last 10. Do we need to see this through? Because I told you the season was over. Last Friday, after they lost to New Orleans, we said it was over. Now, we've been saying it's trending towards being over for a really long time. The trade deadline, we were talking about, moving Kevin Durant, and that probably being the right thing for the franchise. So it didn't take us up until that point, but when you lose to New Orleans, you run out of options. You run out of pathways for me to think that you're going to be able to win enough games to get into the dance. And we've always been looking at 41 as the magic number. That would require the Suns to go 12-8 the rest of the way. I don't know if it's going to require 41 anymore. The Mavs sit at 32-30. And I'm going to do, producer Dylan, I can't even remember the last time we did this. I'm going to look at the playoff probabilities on Pro Basketball Reference today. I can't remember the last time that we did this. But right now, they do 10,000 simulations of the remainder of the season. They have Dallas finishing at 43-39. So they think Dallas is going to somehow, all of a sudden, make up 2 more games the rest of this way and be 4 games above 500. I find that hard to believe, considering no Kyrie Irving, considering Anthony Davis is more than likely going to shut it down for the rest of the season. Now, they have the Suns coming in at, remember, some of these predictions break down with decimal points, 35.9 wins, 46.1 losses. So if we round up to 36, they have them 7 games behind Dallas at the end of the day. Their playoff chances 0.4%, where for Dallas they have those playoff percentages at 42.1%. So still not very likely. But at the end of the day, I don't know if Dallas is going to be able to hold the rest of the way. They play the Bucks up next. We can do the thing. We've got time here on the show. Let's look at the schedule for these two teams coming up. For Dallas, it's at Milwaukee, home against Memphis, home against Phoenix, at San Antonio for 2, at Houston, home against Philly, at Indiana. I'm kind of going a little bit down a rabbit hole here, but you look at Milwaukee and Memphis, and again, no Kyrie, probably no Anthony Davis. Are they beating Milwaukee on the road in Milwaukee? Are they beating Memphis at home? Boy, does now Sunday, March 9th take on a different spin to it when these two teams hook up, Phoenix and Dallas. Feels like a golden opportunity, right? We were talking a couple of weeks ago about the Kings and the 2 games that you played against the Kings potentially being your pathway back in. That game Sunday, March 9th against Phoenix, or against Dallas in Phoenix, or in Dallas, excuse me. That game on Sunday, March 9th in Dallas. I'm looking at Dallas' schedule and it says versus Phoenix, and I was confused for a second. That game on Sunday, March 9th, in Dallas, where Phoenix will travel on the road, that feels pretty important this Sunday. Phoenix plays Dallas on Friday, or excuse me, Denver on Friday, then Dallas on Sunday. You beat Denver. You have a little bit of a run going here, 2 in a row. All of a sudden, a streak forms. That game on Sunday against Dallas takes on a new meaning. Now, here's my issue with all of that. They won one game last night. They had to come back from a 23-point deficit. They still played poorly in the second quarter to a point where Stan Van Gundy is calling the defense pathetic, just openly on the air calling the Suns pathetic defensively. That still happened last night. They still had to rally back from a 23-point deficit. You're not doing that every night. You got to play better than that. You can't have second quarters where you get outscored 41-19. Just can't happen. So we saw that. Before last night, their last win against a team with a current winning record was January 31st. I said this to open the show. It's March 5th. Last night was March 4th. You went the entire month of February. Remember, the win was on January 31st, that Friday night game against Golden State before the 2 losses to Portland. And before all of the Kevin Durant nonsense kicked off that week leading up to the trade deadline. You went the entire month of February without beating a team that had a winning record when you played them. So apologies if I see one game from this team last night and I'm not willing to be all the way back in. You beat Denver. You beat Dallas. You win 3 in a row. You win 2 out of 3, including a victory over Dallas. Okay. That's 2 wins against teams with winning records in short order. I can start to maybe piece this together. Dallas is leaving the door open. No Kyrie. No Anthony Davis. Somebody's got to be the 10 seed if the Suns can choose to get hot. We've always said, if you're going to get hot, you got to start somewhere, right? You have to at least win one. Well, last night, the Suns took a little bit of a miracle, but they won one. They beat the Clippers. They pulled a half game closer to the Mavericks. It sits at 3 with 20 games to go. So do we need to see this through? I've spent all this week telling you, wave the white flag. Start playing these young guys. Play Gillespie more. Play Bol Bol more. Play Ryan Dunn more. Play Nick Richards more. Oso, play all these young guys more. Get your answers for next season. Do I need to now do an about face? Do I need to turn around and say, no, we've got to see this through? What does my gut tell me? It tells me that this was a nice blip last night. This was a nice moment last night. We're just going to go right back to the reality that is the Phoenix Suns over the weekend with two games against 2 tough teams in Denver and Dallas. And we're going to come in here on Monday and be right back to where we were before. So if seeing it through means letting this weekend play out, all right, I'll move off my stance a little bit. I'll see this weekend through. But overall, I'm not going to allow one game that required an incredible comeback in a game in which the defense was still a problem. The turnovers early were still a problem. All of those same warts were still issues. I'm not going to all of a sudden say, everything's fine, bring on Dallas. They're going to chase them down. They're going to take the 10 seed, and then who knows what will happen from there. I'm not willing to go that far yet. Too many bad things still happened last night in that game despite the comeback, and it was one game. You went the entire month of February without beating a team with a winning record. January 31st and then March 4th were the last 2 times you beat a team with a winning record. You're now playing teams with winning records this weekend. Can you beat those teams? You've got Denver, Dallas, Memphis, Houston, Sacramento, the Lakers. Your next 6 games, all against teams with winning records. Are you going to go through another spurt where you don't win one of those games and you go 0 for 6? Or do you find a way to steal a couple of these? Sunday against Dallas feels like one. Wednesday at Houston, Friday at Sacramento. Those feel like the 3 you're going to win. Those feel like the 3 you can quote-unquote steal. So am I going to see this through for the final 20 games? No. Did maybe for a brief moment they earn a pause to see through the weekend, to see how they play against Denver and Dallas on the road, to come in here on Monday when they're going to play at Memphis and see where they're at? Sure. Dallas's injuries have opened that door, and you know what? You won a basketball game last night. I'm willing to give you a little bit of something. But I'm not all of a sudden going to change my entire tune because you erased a 23-point deficit. Because something else happened last night in that game. And if I can touch on it real quick. I know we're up against it, Producer Dylan, but if you'll allow me the floor to do this. Devin Booker played all 12 minutes of that fourth quarter last night. 3 points. He had 4 assists, but 3 points. Took only 2 shots, didn't take a 3, missed a free throw that forced him to have to foul with 119-116. He had to draw a foul to make sure that the Clippers couldn't get the ball up the court and take a 3, put him on the line, played that game. So if this team is going to make this a run, Kevin Durant needs to continue to be Kevin Durant. 6 of 9 from the field last night in the fourth quarter, 3 of 5 from behind the three-point line, 19 points. But Devin Booker's got to do more. Devin Booker's got to show up. He had the 4 assists, but only 3 points and didn't take a 3-point shot, only took 2 shots the whole fourth quarter. As much as I love Colin Gillespie's effort, I don't know if you're going to get 10 points in 4 of 6 every fourth quarter from Colin Gillespie. I think I'd rather have Devin Booker taking those shots. So that's another byproduct of this. You made the comeback, you won the game. Bad second quarter. Devin Booker not doing a whole lot in the fourth quarter. You still got to show me more. You still got to show me something this weekend. You win 2 games this weekend, and maybe we'll touch on this a little bit later on in the week. You win 2 games this weekend, 3-game winning streak. Now you're talking. Now you're giving me something of substance. Now I've got something I can sink my teeth into. You've won 3 in a row. You beat some good basketball teams. You beat Dallas, so that brought you at least 1 game closer. Now we're talking 18 games to go, and it could be a 2-game lead, a 2.5-game lead. Now something of substance is being presented. Last night, just a little appetizer, not the full meal. Coming up on the other side of the break, before they make any additions on Monday, should the Cardinals be prioritizing bringing some players back? That's next on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Need social information about KDUS AM 1060? Try KDUS1060.com, at KDUS AM 1060 on Twitter, and Facebook.com/KDUS AM 1060. Get ready for an unbelievable experience at Salt River Fields. Immerse yourself in the excitement of spring training as your Arizona Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies take the field. Don't miss out. Grab your single game tickets now at saltriverfields.com.
Shinedown. Dance Kid Dance Tour. Live in Phoenix. Footprint Center, Saturday, August 2nd. With special guests, Bush and Morgan Wade. Get tickets now at LiveNation.com. Shinedown, live in concert. For more, visit Shinedown.com.
If Heineken Silver was a 60-second radio ad, it'd tell you all the stuff you need to know in only 30 seconds to keep things light and refreshing. Seriously, time me. Heineken Silver, a world-class light beer that's surprisingly crisp and refreshing. Made with only premium quality ingredients and just 2.9 grams of carbs and 95 calories. All without compromising on taste. Heineken Silver. Order now at Heineken.com/silver. Must be 21 and older to purchase. Enjoy Heineken responsibly. Whew. 30 seconds. That's it. Done. Peace.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I was in a wreck. I need a check.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Being in an auto accident is traumatic. You need to call the best law firm that has the experience to get you the best results. Call 977-1900. That's 977-1900.
Call 977-1900. 977-1900.
Enroll in Farm Bureau Financial Services Driveology, and you'll instantly save 10% on your auto insurance premium. Over time, your safe driving habits could earn you even bigger savings, up to 50%. Learn more and start saving with Driveology at fbfs.com/save. 10% savings applied at enrollment for select coverages. Future savings based on individual driving behaviors and varies by coverages selected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Get ready for a night of classic rock and roll on March 28th at Wekopa Casino Resort. Legendary rock band Foghat will take the stage to deliver hits that have stood the test of time. Doors open at 7 p.m. Show begins at 8 p.m. Tickets on sale now at the gift shop or WekopaCasinoResort.com. We have the best of it all. Wekopa Casino Resort, the all-new Fort McDowell Casino. Must be 21 and older. Management reserves all rights. Event is subject to change or cancellation.
Wish your school better fit your needs? Switching to Primavera Online mid-year is easy. Enjoy a flexible online education from the comfort and safety of home, plus exclusive benefits like free private tutoring and merit awards for college and more. Enroll at chooseprimavera.com.
With the Dan Patrick Show brightens your mood to work. The DP Show airs live weekdays from 7 to 10 right here on KDUS AM 1060, 100.7 HD2, and KDUS1060.com.
You know, I'm somewhat surprised because it's been the theme of today's show that during the break, I scroll through Twitter and some NFL story breaks. Max Crosby getting that big extension today from the Raiders, 3 years, $106.5 million. DK Metcalf requesting a trade from the Seattle Seahawks, and the Seahawks saying they're going to honor that trade request or at least pursue a trade for DK Metcalf. Lots of big stories. Nothing in that last break, but lots of big stories today. We'll touch on some of them during the leftovers here in about, 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes or so. But in the meantime, Monday's going to be here before we know it. And it feels, I don't know, there's this calm before the storm, right? At least for me, thinking about this. We've spent how many segments previewing free agency, talking about doing this and doing that, and Josh Sweat and Milton Williams and trading for this guy and signing that guy. And it's all hypothetical, right? We're all guessing here. I can't sit in on these GM meetings and know how Monty is prioritizing these free agents. I can take a guess based on past off seasons, but it's guessing. All hypotheticals. Monday, the real deal. Monday, we see the real world ramifications. We see the real world implementation of free agency. These guys are going to have new homes. These players are going to move teams. And the Cardinals should be, and I'm hopeful that they will be, at the center of all of this. And so there's just this exciting kind of build that's happening over the next couple of days. But before we get there, before Monday rolls around, is there anybody that played on the Cardinals last year that they should prioritize bringing back next season? I have overthecap.com open, and I have the Cardinals list of free agents. And I chose to sort this list for this conversation by the percentage of snaps that were played. Now, this doesn't tell the full story, right? If guys are hurt, but they're good players, they don't play a ton of snaps, right? But if guys were out there for a large portion of the snaps, probably some level of impactful player, and so needing to replace that player, there's an opportunity cost there. And so here are the guys that played 50% of snaps or more for the Cardinals last year that are going to be free agents when Monday rolls around. Evan Brown, Kaiser White, Kelvin Beachum, and LJ Collier. Those four guys, 2 offensive linemen in Evan Brown and Kelvin Beachum, and 2 defenders, Kaiser White, LJ Collier. Those guys played 50% or snaps or more, and in the case of Kaiser White and Evan Brown, 90% of snaps or more, 93.7 for Kaiser White. Evan Brown, 97.6% of snaps last season. And so the thing that immediately jumps off the page to me is I've got an offensive lineman who's 29 years old that played 97.6% of the snaps for me last season that's hitting free agency. Do I really want to let that guy go? Do I want to see that guy walk out the door? Kelvin Beachum. Jonah Williams goes down 1/2 into his Cardinals career. Who played all the way up until Jonah Williams could return late in the season? Kelvin Beachum, 67.7% of the snaps. Yeah, he's 36. Yeah, he's a veteran. Yeah, you can probably find a ton of players who are swing tackles like Kelvin Beachum in free agency, but how many of them do I know fit what I'm doing? How many of them do I know with certainty fit my system? Kelvin Beachum was here. Kelvin Beachum was a part of this group, knows the system, knows the terminology, knows what was being asked of him. This coaching staff saw firsthand his work ethic, saw firsthand how he got himself ready for games, knows he can handle the role of being that swing tackle. You can probably find swing tackles in free agency, but do you know that those guys are going to be able to fill the role the way you need them to? So those are the two names that immediately jump off the page to me, is your two offensive linemen. Because the interior of the offensive line is something that needs to be addressed. And we've always said there are two paths that the Cardinals could take. Path one, just re-sign your own guys. Kelvin Beachum, back. Evan Brown, back. Will Hernandez, who's also on this list, 25% of the snaps this year, bring him back. Bring back my right guard. Bring back Evan Brown, who's playing on the interior for me as my left guard. Bring back Kelvin Beachum, my swing tackle, and I don't have to worry about competing with other teams in free agency. That is one path you can go down. The offensive line wasn't bad last year. Just bring those guys back. There's the other path of potentially dabbling in seeing what free agency has to offer. Seeing if you can get an upgrade on Evan Brown. See if you can get an upgrade on Will Hernandez. See if you can get an upgrade on Kelvin Beachum. Can I do better than these guys and it not break the bank for me? Evan Brown, $2.3 million last year. Kelvin Beachum, $2.5 million last year. Will Hernandez, $4.5 million. You weren't spending a lot of money on guys. You've got Evan Brown, who was a starter. You've got Kelvin Beachum, who was a starter. Will Hernandez, before he went down, was a starter. I got starters across the board here. I got starters across the board that could potentially leave in free agency, that I could bring back. Didn't cost me a lot of money. Now, Kaiser White, one of the leaders on this defense, 93.7% of the snaps, like I mentioned. Part of that front seven that we know is going to have an overhaul. Same thing with LJ Collier on the edge, 54% of the snaps. Those are some of the names that really stand out to me at the top of this list. Now, Baron Browning's on this list. He played 34% of the snaps. He's 26 years old. Tristan Cologne's 27. Greg Dortch, 27. So some young players that you may want to prioritize bringing back into the fold. But the guys who played the most, the veterans, at positions of need, stand out in a big way of maybe the Cardinals want to prioritize getting some of those guys back in here before Monday rolls around, and we're scrambling. We're paying attention to see if Josh Sweat's signing anywhere. We're paying attention to see if Milton Williams is going anywhere. Zach Bond just signed a brand new contract extension with the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 years, $51 million. So he's not hitting free agency. $34 million guaranteed. That just broke via Adam Schefter. So instead of dealing with all that chaos, including the story that I just told you about, do you get some of these deals done now so you don't have to worry about thinking about these deals while you're also working on all of the other stuff that you're doing in free agency? Perhaps maybe you get some of these deals done as depth pieces, as good high floor options for you as a team. Just a couple of the names on the list. Evan Brown and Kelvin Beachum, Kaiser White and LJ Collier. And again, I sorted them by who played the most snaps last year for the Cardinals. Anybody that played 50+% snaps or more felt like they were big deals. They were key contributors, just guys to keep an eye on. You're going to have to replace those guys. Maybe you want to replace those guys. The front seven for the Arizona Cardinals wasn't great, so I may want an upgrade from LJ Collier. I probably want multiple guys that are upgrades over LJ Collier. I get it. But these guys still were a part of your system. And these guys still can be contributing members of your team as part of a group. You may want to prioritize bringing some of those guys back. The phone number, last call here on the program, 480-864-1060. You can also hop in on the KDUS AM 1060 YouTube live stream if you are at your desk. Maybe you can't call in. Maybe your boss is hovering. You want to join us on the YouTube live stream, you can throw your thoughts in there as well. On the other side, I told you we've got a lot of NFL news, and I'm going to suggest a backup quarterback option for the Arizona Cardinals. All of that a part of the leftovers. We'll do it next here on the lunch break, KDUS AM 1060.
Your caddy, Ray Adams, takes you beyond the 18th hole on Saturday mornings with Great American Golf from 6 to 7 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
Breaking news coming in from Bet365, where every nail-biting overtime win, breakaway, pick six, three-point shot, underdog win, buzzer beater, shootout, walk-off, and absolutely every play in between is amazing. From football to basketball and hockey to baseball, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. 21 plus only. Must be physically located in Arizona.
Ever wonder what happens when nitro meets fire? It's lightning in a bottle. Thunder rolls in your chest. It's where ambition meets asphalt. Where some dreams are made and others go up in smoke. It's an experience like no other.
See for yourself March 21st through 23rd at the NHRA Arizona Nationals at Firebird Motorsports Park, where every ticket is a pit pass and kids under 12 and parking are free with general admission. The NHRA Arizona Nationals, March 21st through 23rd.
Great. Thanks, William. Good meeting.
What about me? Who said that? Me.
Gary, I can hear you, but...
Where are you? Guys, I'm right here. You can't see me because I'm being transparent.
You're being transparent?
Yep, and we should do it company-wide. Starting with how much it costs to get a Grizzly from Alaskan AC. This is freaking me out. Other places don't put payments on their websites. Know why?
Too much trouble?
Embarrassed?
They want to get in your house and twist your arm?
Could be any of those. Could be none of them. But like polar bear fur, we're transparent.
So people can go to AlaskanAC.com and get an instant payment?
You got it. Now you're being transparent.
Hey, I'm fading away.
I like it. Nothing hidden. Just an honest instant payment on their new Grizzly from AlaskanAC.com. Whoa, now I'm becoming transparent. Doesn't it feel good? We're all transparent. And good thing, that shirt Ron was wearing was ugly.
I'm still here. Get a transparent payment on a new Grizzly at AlaskanAC.com.
The absolute best interviews and guests. Tune into The Dan Patrick Show live weekdays from 7 to 10 a.m. on KDUS AM 1060.
And welcome back into the lunch break here on KDUS AM 1060. It's all football today, okay? I'm not talking about anything else today here for the leftovers because there's a lot for us to get to. We told you when it happened, the Raiders and Max Crosby signed a 3-year, $106.5 million contract extension, making Max Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. We told you that DK Metcalf requested a trade from the Seattle Seahawks. We told you all of those things. I think we mentioned that the Seahawks plan to release Tyler Lockett, so 2 wide receivers potentially going out the door there in Seattle. I think those are all of the things that we talked to you about. There's some stories that we didn't bring up. And how about the Raiders expected to release Gardner Minshew? The 28-year-old was going to enter year 2 of a 2-year, $25 million deal that he signed with the Raiders. And by cutting him, the Raiders saved $9.3 million on their cap if they make him a post-June 1 cut. And it was reported earlier today from NFL Network that the plan is to release Gardner Minshew, and a guy that has started a bunch in the NFL, 46 starts as a backup, has been with the Raiders, the Colts, the Eagles, the Jaguars, 68 touchdown passes, 34 interceptions in 59 games. I got to tell you, we've spent some time discussing backup quarterback options for the Arizona Cardinals. Gardner Minshew kind of jumps to the top of the list for me as a potential backup option. Started in the league 46 times. In 59 career games, I told you 68 touchdown passes, 34 interceptions, a decent touchdown to interception ratio. He's just 2 years removed from a really good season when he was with Indianapolis. Started 13 games, went 7-6 in those 13 games, threw for 3,305 yards, which was a career high. We're not that far removed from that. And in a backup role, Gardner Minshew works really well. And I think would provide a spark if he needed to play 1 or 2 games. He is the perfect guy for the scenario we've outlined of, hey, I need 1 or 2 games while Kyler's dealing with something. I need a backup that can run my offense and can help me win football games in a short little spurt. That's Gardner Minshew, man. Now, there's going to be a bunch of teams that probably will be interested in the Gardner Minshew market. He's coming off of that broken collarbone that he had last year. He did go 2-7 as a starter when he started 9 games for them last year. I get it. But I need a backup quarterback who I think can win me a couple of starts if I need, has previous starting experience. And I don't mind a guy who's been around the block a couple of times. I don't mind a guy who's been with a couple of different organizations. Because you know what? That tells me that he's been able to go to multiple different buildings and be a solid backup to where other teams are willing to give him a chance. The Jags, the Eagles, the Colts, the Raiders, all these organizations have given him a chance. So he would be somebody that I would put on my short list if the Cardinals were going to invest some decent resources into a backup quarterback. Gardner Minshew would be the guy for me. So that's one release that is happening in the NFL. Another one, the Jags plan on releasing Christian Kirk. They're going to save $10.7 million by doing so. Kirk was entering the last year of that 4-year deal that he signed with them, and so they are releasing him from that deal. He's missed some time over the last 2 seasons. You start to connect the dots of, could he return home? Could he return to where he's from? Could he return to the team that drafted him? Could he return to a place? It's a new regime, new general manager, new coach, new system altogether. Could he come back and be that wide receiver too that this team needs to be? He's missed 14 games over the last 2 seasons, an ab injury and a broken collarbone. 2 broken collarbone injuries we've talked about here today on the show. And in that stretch over the last 2 seasons, 84 catches, 1,166 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So you're probably not going to have to break the bank for him because he's coming off of that really bad injury, coming off of 2 seasons of injuries in back-to-back years. So a bit of an injury history that is starting to pile up. So probably not going to break the bank all that much. But everybody needs wide receiver help. Everybody's probably looking for an additional piece. So the market should be somewhat robust for Christian Kirk. And I said this earlier in the program, but I'll remind everybody here of it now. You're going to see a lot of this stuff happen over the next couple of days. You're seeing a lot of teams make big moves, contract extensions, releasing players, all of this stuff. Everybody is trying to set themselves up for Monday. They are making sure that they have all of their stuff organized, ready to go, so that there's no balls hanging in the air when it comes to free agency. I mean, you had the Chiefs agree to a trade with the Bears for Joe Thuney, the all-pro guard. The Bears are going to give up a 2026 fourth-round pick in exchange for Joe Thuney, adding to their offensive line after they already added Jonah Jackson in a trade with the Los Angeles Rams. So they are very much trying to beef up their offensive line for Caleb Williams. None of those trades become official until the new league year on March 12th, but you are seeing all of this activity. Teams have to get cap compliant. I haven't done this recently. Who's not cap compliant? Let's see. Who is sitting? 6 teams right now sit as not cap compliant, meaning they have effective cap space or any type of cap space going into the league year. 6 teams need to become cap compliant. There are 4 of these 6 teams where it'll be relatively easy. The Dolphins, Chiefs, Falcons, and Bills all have negative cap space, but it's inside of $10 million. So you do a couple of restructures, and all of a sudden you're going to have some effective cap space. The Browns and the Saints, a little bit more difficult. The Browns sit at $23.2 million in negative cap space. The Saints sit at $46.6 million in negative cap space. This shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. This is what the Saints do. And then at the last possible minute, they will become cap compliant. Sometimes I like going to overthecap.com and playing with the calculator and seeing what they could do in order to fix some of their cap issues. And I'm doing them as we speak. They do a couple of basic restructures for some guys, Derek Carr being the big one. They can get cap compliant relatively quickly here. It's going to, again, eat into their cap space from future years, and it's going to cause problems down the road. But they can do this relatively easy. So as it sits right now, 6 teams, Dolphins, Chiefs, Falcons, Bills, Browns, and Saints need to get under the cap. It's why you're starting to see some of these moves that will take place. The Cowboys made some moves today, restructuring Dak Prescott's deal for next season to free up some cap space. All of that is in service of a Micah Parsons contract extension. And they're certainly now going to have to look at the Max Crosby deal as the new barometer to hit $35.5 million APY for Max Crosby. That's going to be the number for Micah Parsons to beat. And now we sit going into Monday with the salary cap set. Here are the top 5 teams in cap space according to overthecap.com. And again, these numbers are not always 100% specific or guaranteed to be the full real number. There's some extensions that you do, some restructuring that you do. Your draft class is in here as well, so there's a lot of moving parts to all of this. But in terms of effective cap space, the top 5 teams, the Patriots with $119.6 million, the Raiders with $88.6 million, the Cardinals third with $74.4 million, the Vikings with $60.5 million, the Chargers with $58.7 million in effective cap space. Those are your teams that sit inside the top 5. Other teams over $50 million, the Commanders, the Steelers, and the Cowboys. So teams have money to spend. There are teams that will be spending money. The Patriots are the team that I would keep the biggest eye on here as free agency rolls around on Monday. New coach, new vision, Drake May. You have a quarterback on a rookie contract. You are going to want to support him in the best possible way. The Raiders, new coach, new general manager there. They're going to want to support Pete Carroll in a big way. They might spend that money on a quarterback and Sam Darnold. They might just spend it with guys on the rest of their roster. The Cardinals, third on this list, playoff mandate in a lot of ways, need to find some success. They're going to spend money. The Vikings are going to want to follow up their success from a 14-win season. The Chargers, all of these teams that have the most cap space are under a mandate to build a roster. They're under a mandate to try to win games. The Patriots, they have a young quarterback on a rookie deal. This is the time where you spend. Now you got to spend it wisely, but this is the time that you spend. The Raiders, you've got the cap space. If you want to get Sam Darnold and make him your franchise quarterback, you can do that. The Vikings, if you want to extend Sam Darnold, you have the cap space to do that. If not, build out the rest of your roster. The Commanders, $58.4 million in effective cap space. Quarterback on a rookie deal. Invest. Put that money to work. And so we are starting to see teams clean up their cap space situations, get themselves ready for what is going to be a wild couple of days on Monday. I'm very excited for Monday's show. We've got to do 2 more shows before then, but I'm starting to really gear up for Monday's show because it's one of those breaking news environments where I could be in the middle of talking about something Suns related, and somebody's going to get traded or the Cardinals are going to sign somebody, and then the entire show gets derailed. So should be very, very exciting, and teams are getting themselves ready for all of that. We mentioned the Bears trading for Joe Thuney. We mentioned DK Metcalf getting traded. Did I cover everything? Did I cover all of the big things that have happened here today in the NFL world? Let's see. Max Crosby, check. DK Metcalf, check. Dak Prescott getting a reworked deal with the restructure, check. Tyler Lockett, check. Christian Kirk, Gardner Minshew expected to be released, check. So Wednesday in March, can you tell that the NFL business cycle is about to open up? Can you tell that we're about to see some dollars get flown around? Very, very exciting. Now, do I cheat? I said it was going to be all NFL themed. We have a little bit of time. Do I cheat a little bit and talk about something else? I don't know if I will. I think I'll just leave it as it is. We'll just sit here in silence for the next minute or so. No, of course not. But the NFL making waves here today, and I think you're going to continue to see some stories like this. The Eagles, Zach Bond with a contract extension ahead of hitting free agency, so they signed him to a new deal. You're going to see some teams do this. Bengals team to keep an eye on, right? T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Trey Hendrickson. They're going to try to get those deals done, so you're going to start to see some extensions. The Eagles have been in the news the last couple of days. Saquon, Nick Bond. This is the stuff you're going to see. Maybe the Cardinals will do it on a smaller scale with some of the players that we talked about in the last segment, but everybody is moving their chess pieces around on the chessboard to set up for free agency on Monday. That's going to do it for us here on this edition of The Lunch Break. Jim Rome, he's coming at you next. Producer Dylan, thank you for all that you do. Hope everybody has a great rest of their Wednesday. We'll talk to you tomorrow. See ya!